In today's video, we're going to be diving into the upcoming pattern, taking a look at some warmer temperatures. We've been talking about this for a long time, so I feel like I always start out the intro talking about that, but March does look rather warm compared to what a typical March would look like, and that goes through the near term, through the midway point of the month, and pretty deep into the late term of the month. So there's a good chance that the entire month of March will end up just being above normal for the central and eastern states. This is going to bring about a lot of severe weather events, just like the one we just saw. I'm seeing maybe one, two, or even three more of those over the coming weeks. And that's going to just bring a lot of problems, obviously. Snowfall is going to be in the more obvious areas, in my opinion. Upper Midwest, Northern Plains, and Great Lakes are the areas that I'm watching in particular. The interior mid-Atlantic, so more like the Appalachian Mountain Range, up into the Northeast are going to be another spot that we could see some snowfall. But I just don't think that we're going to see like southern New England, the mid-Atlantic or areas like that really see snowfall. And we've seen models outputting that time and time again, kind of off and on, but I really just feel like with this overall warmer regime, it's going to be really, really hard to come by. And nothing is impossible in weather, and I've certainly been wrong before, as many of you remind me of regularly. But we shall see. We shall see. Now, before we dive into things, be sure to check out my most recent vlog that we uploaded less than a week ago. It's on the top right corner of your screen, description and pinned comment down below. We got a foot of snowfall. We did some normal life stuff, started the garden. We had a windstorm. I'm filming today, actually, for my vlog. So I was filming before, and I'm going to be filming after this because we're getting severe weather here in Virginia. So be sure to subscribe to that channel. I have big plans for it moving forward, just sharing, other parts of my life. And the support means so much. I know you guys always flood into those videos, and it means a lot. I would have nowhere near as many subscribers or views on that channel if it wasn't for you guys. So keep showing the support. It means the world, really. Like the video, comment, subscribe. It means a lot, and it helps out that channel so much. It's free to do. It's a way you guys can help me out. Thank you so much. Let's dive into things and take a look at this 6 to 10 day temperature outlook that we have on screen here. This is for March 14th or 10th through 14th, better yet. And we can see that negative PNA that we've been talking about. So colder temperatures in the west is really what that means. So that's all you need to know. And 9 times out of 10, or maybe even more than that, it's going to shove warm air up into the central states, as we see here, and into the eastern states as well. The opposite would be a positive PNA. And that's what we saw for a lot of the winter. Warmer temperatures out there in the west. And it forced the cold air into the east and central states almost the entire winter. So that is a huge dictator in what we see over the entire lower 48 as far as weather. This is what we expect here for the 10th through the 14th. Looking at the precipitation, because again, this is going to increase severe weather risks. We do see a little bit of a drier pattern for Texas and Oklahoma, but we will be watching kind of these middle areas for some opportunities at thunderstorms and severe weather, perhaps during this time frame. So we're talking parts of the plains, Midwest, Ohio Valley, deeper like Tennessee Valley into the deeper south into the mid-Atlantic. These are areas to watch, and certainly there's still possibilities down here in the below average precipitation, but there's going to be below average precipitation, so they're going to be a little bit harder to come by. And we can see the west just gets crazy amounts of precipitation, especially the southwest there. So think California, Nevada, Arizona. We are seeing a huge departure from what's typical out there as far as precipitation is concerned. Looking at the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook, we see that this negative PNA regime continues for the 12th through the 18th. And again, this forces the warmer air into the central and the eastern states, especially the east actually during this 12th through 18th time frame. Precipitation during this is going to increase a little bit unless you're in Texas and Oklahoma where we stay below normal. The west stays almost the same, still above normal, especially the southwest, but this eastern corridor starts to really become a lot more widespread with the above average precipitation. Now, looking back at the past 5 days, basically your entire meteorological spring so far, as that starts on March 1st. This looks drastically different than yesterday, and that's what happens when you're looking at a 3 or 5 day period. One day of crazy above normal temperatures can completely swing things around. This looked very blue yesterday, and it's really looking a lot more yellow and red today. So we are seeing these temperatures already starting to shift in a different direction here. We do see a lot of the west and central states have been warm so far, but as we saw, these areas are going to cool down significantly. And these areas have been cooler, if not neutral, in the east here. But we know these areas are going to warm significantly here over the coming weeks. So this is going to evolve pretty quickly and very, very significantly. Looking at the European model, we can see that this major storm, it really is 981 over the Great Lakes. It's causing a massive Midwest snow event for states like Iowa, Missouri, Wisconsin, Minnesota, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan in particular. And then we obviously have this very large wind. It's probably very windy today, you've noticed if you're in this area that I just circled in. And also thunderstorms and a lot of severe weather for Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina in particular. But really, the severe weather threat is for almost every state here in this circled area. So there, in some shape or form, there is a threat in these areas, and we will look at the Storm Prediction Center outlook later on. Let's keep going because we're going to see similar storms to this. Again, the northern plains, upper Midwest, and Great Lakes are the main area I'm watching for snowfall, and that's going to bring severe weather underneath it and into the eastern states. Maybe, like I said, 1, 2, or even 3 times after this one. So this is for the day today on Wednesday. Let's move towards Thursday on the 6th. We see that storm moves out, and really the main feature here is going to be now this snowfall across a lot of the west, the mountainous west, as we have a couple of low pressure systems here over these areas that's just bringing a lot of precipitation. Another thing you might notice is that after that system moves through, we saw that basically it moved over the Great Lakes and now into Canada, so it kind of took this path here. And the whole time it had a cold front underneath it, and that's what was bringing the severe weather underneath. So we saw a massive cool down. By the time we reach tomorrow, it's not going to be, 60s and 70s like we're seeing today. It's going to be much cooler again tomorrow on Thursday the 6th. As we keep going towards Friday on March 7th, we do get a low pressure system in a concerning area, Missouri. Anytime you see a low of really any intensity set up over this area, you're concerned about severe weather underneath it. We do not see any of that popping up for Friday. With this one, we actually do see snow showers and rain showers to the north of it, and still some western snowfall. Thankfully, this one seems a bit dry, and it really just moves out and dissipates. The next feature is going to be for Saturday the 8th, something to kind of watch for. We have showers, thunderstorms, and even snowfall here in some of these areas. Snowfall mostly for New Mexico, Colorado, and the panhandle of Texas, as well as the panhandle of Oklahoma. I would say more showers to the north here in the rain, and then more thunderstorms along that Gulf Coast. But could be an impactful system. Doesn't seem like anything major, but definitely I just want to let you guys know about that storm. As we move towards Sunday, that one moves more eastward. Again, thunderstorms maybe for southern Georgia and Florida there. More showers up here to the northwest for Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Arkansas. And really, we're seeing a pattern that does not look like what we just showed on the National Weather Services page. We're seeing a lot of positive P&A features here. Warm in the west, cold in the east. But that is going to change relatively quickly after this point. Starts almost immediately here for Monday, and the beginning signs of a negative P&A starting out is some low pressure moving on to the west coast. So we see some storminess, some low pressure moving on to the west coast, and that is bringing colder temperatures almost right out of the gate. And we can see that the peak of the ridge now is going to be basically aligned with the plains here. So that is moving eastward, and that's some big movement happening there. So by Tuesday, we see a fully flipped pattern, basically, where we see now a trough with snowfall, storminess over the west, and then this ridge encompassing a lot of the central states, and again, a lot of the eastern states. So warmed back up by Tuesday, March 11th, with this fully negative P&A look, snowfall around for those mountainous areas as well. But no major storms so far, so we're still moving through. And Wednesday is really where we start to talk about some impactful ones. 993 for Kansas here. And we do have likely some isolated thunderstorms starting out here for areas of Missouri, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Texas, Louisiana. This is a little bit far out. We're between 5 and 7 days here. So keep in mind that there could be some shifts with the location or intensity or timing here. But it's not like forecasting a snowfall event where, 1 or 2 degree difference is going to completely shift if you're getting snowfall or not. We don't have any like make or break features like that with severe weather for the most part that can shift so easily with a slight movement. So these severe weather events are a little bit easier to kind of pinpoint a little bit later into the pattern, if that makes sense, with at least decent accuracy. Again, the timing, intensity, location can change a little bit, but it's not going to actually make there not be a severe weather event if one does pop up. We do see a more major low pressure system moving on toward the west coast. We're seeing, I mean, heavy snowfall throughout the Sierra Nevada mountains as well as the Cascades, and then rainfall for California. We talked about that southwest precipitation. We're seeing it here by Wednesday the 12th. Taking a look here at overnight, Wednesday into Thursday, actually, the 12th into the 13th, this low is now over Illinois. We do get this cold front feature underneath, so we start to talk about maybe seeing severe weather, especially Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, Mississippi, Alabama, and probably Louisiana too, overnight Wednesday into Thursday. And then as we reach the afternoon of Thursday, we see that this low is relatively far south. The parent low is here. I would suspect that this would bring a chance of thunderstorms for the Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, and Southeast, all of those areas. But if this low in the south takes off a little bit more, then you would probably be watching just the areas underneath for the primary threat of severe weather. And again, we're at about 200 hours out, so that type of stuff can shift quite a bit. When we look at the west, we do see snowfall still abundant for all three major mountain ranges. I want to take us towards Friday because this is when we get another major low going, Friday the 14th. 981 here between eastern Colorado and western Kansas. We're still seeing a lot of snowfall to the west of it, but likely we're going to start to see thunderstorms pop up here for Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas in just a moment. So let's just keep going with it. And there we go. It just like instantly, like the snap of a finger. And this one is really reminiscent of our current system we're dealing with. 979 over Kansas. A strong looking area of thunderstorms and severe weather here in Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Texas. Could be another pretty major one if it pans out this way. By the afternoon of Saturday, look at how reminiscent. 977 here over Iowa, upper Midwest, and northern plains snowfall, as well as the upper peninsula of Michigan. I would consider, obviously, Michigan the Great Lakes, so upper Midwest to me is like Wisconsin, Illinois, Iowa, Minnesota area. I wouldn't include the UP of Michigan in that, but correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not anywhere close to there. I've never been there, so let me know if I'm right or wrong with that. We do see a more linear looking storm. It's hard to tell with these lower resolution models, but it does look like there's a clear line of thunderstorms here, which again is very reminiscent of our current system. This is Saturday afternoon. As we keep going towards the overnight hours, Saturday to Sunday the 16th, we do see these thunderstorms arrive for the Mid-Atlantic and Southeast. But look at what time it is. It's 2 a.m. here. So the temperatures in this overnight time frame will be the make or break in this particular instance for these East Coast folks. It's 2 a.m. Is it going to be 50 or is it going to be 60 or 65? Because if it's 60, 65, it's definitely going to be sufficient for thunderstorms, as we likely have humidity in there as well. But that temperature is going to make a pretty big difference in if this is just heavy showers or if there is a actual thunderstorm or even severe weather threat during this time. And this one is beyond 10 days. We're at hours 258, so there is a lot of wiggle room with this, to say the least. As we keep going, what is that? Number 2, so system number 2 or 3 after, I guess 2 after our current one on this model. We see a colder time frame here, Monday the 17th, Tuesday the 18th, and then we warm back up. But look at what happens. By Wednesday and Thursday, it's 19th to 20th, another low over the Midwest here. Snowfall for the Great Lakes, central and northern plains, and upper Midwest here. Another very reminiscent system, and clearly an area of thunderstorms and severe weather here for Missouri, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, eastern Texas, Mississippi, Tennessee, maybe even southern Illinois. This could be another threat, very similar to our current one. And look at how it just lines up. 994 here over southern Michigan, stretching cold front there, clear warm front to the east. This is classic stuff. So this would be storm number 3 or 4 after our current one. Snowfall, again, still for the upper Midwest and parts of the Great Lakes. And this would clearly be a pretty big threat of severe weather in all of these areas. It's extremely far out. So the important thing here is not the details. It's just that this model continues to bring storms very similarly to one happening right now, which will just indicate that we're going to continue to see severe weather threats. And for the upper Midwest and areas surrounding, we could continue to see snowfall threats as well through and past the midway point of the month. As we look at the GFS model, again, we're looking for agreement. I want to keep going towards this system. We get those snow showers to the north again for areas of the Ohio Valley and Midwest. We do get this system for the deeper south where there is some thunderstorms, but again, nothing crazy. And then we get a quieter period until we get this low over the plains and Midwest, where we likely do have a thunderstorm threat. This one is not picking up on it as much, but I'm sure areas aligned with the low and to the south of it would have a chance of thunderstorms here around the 12th, 13th. As we keep going, we do get a major low, very similar to the European model. This is probably within 5 millibars of being almost the same pressure. 977, I think the European model was in like the low 80s, upper 70s, just like this. So that is a very strong low. And if I'm not mistaken, it might be stronger than our current one. So very intense early spring low pressure systems. And yeah, obviously with that type of low, we end up with heavy snowfall to the north for parts of the plains, parts of the upper Midwest. And we end up with this like extended cold front way out ahead of things. And we get the threat of severe weather and thunderstorms in all of these areas due to that. As we keep going towards Saturday afternoon, the 15th, right around the 10-day mark, we end up seeing severe weather and thunderstorms possible. It's hard to pinpoint where the cutoff would be. Probably aligned with this secondary low, I would imagine. So everywhere south of there, seeing a pretty decent threat if it was exactly like this, which again, it will not be, but there is definitely some wiggle room. But as it stands with what this model is showing, that is what would be happening. Even the Northeast seeing some wintry weather in this instance as well. So again, the threats of snowfall are not completely done. I just don't really see anything major happening at this point. We do get this interesting low here for the Ohio Valley and parts of the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast here. It wants to transfer offshore around the 17th, 18th, but you're beyond 10 days and you're looking at mid to late March. Really a shot in the dark, or a, I don't know what the saying would be. I don't know. Long shot. That is really, really tough to see happen there. And then as we keep going, we don't get that low at the end of the model run, but we still end up with like 2 or 3 similar storms to our current one. So both models are in agreement that we're in a sufficient pattern to see continued storms pretty similar to that. And when we look at the total precipitation, this is going to result in obviously a decent amount, and it's still not like widespread above average, so similar to yesterday, but it is near normal. It is very decent. And it's mostly coming for areas, south of this, because most of your lows are moving along like this up into Canada. All of this is just cold front precipitation. So most of it coming with heavier showers, thunderstorms even for areas south of that point. The west, we just get bombarded by strong storms moving from the Pacific straight on shore, bringing this precipitation. And when we look at the anomalies, above average for most of the west. Again, where these lows move through the Midwest, Great Lakes, and Canada, we get above average as well. And we do end up with near normal for many areas, especially east of the Mississippi here in this bubble. I would say near normal. There's some drier pockets in there, but there's also some wetter ones. So very close to normal. A little bit below normal here for Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, parts of Missouri and Arkansas, very similarly to what the Climate Prediction Center is calling for, like we saw in the beginning of the video. Total snowfall in the European model, just the mountainous west, it's hard to even break it down, multiple feet for all mountain ranges out there. Northern plains, upper Midwest, and parts of Michigan here as well get a really good amount of snowfall, because it's like we're caught in this cycle where all the storms are just bringing you snowfall. They're all very similar. If that changes, you would see these amounts decrease, but for now, both models pretty much agree on this. And then, like I said, Mid-Atlantic, Northeast, it's just those interior kind of Appalachian areas. Looking at the GFS, it is in really good agreement. The West does phenomenal. The plains and Midwest and even into the Great Lakes do get quite a bit as well with those repetitive storms. And the East, the Northeast actually does really well here. We get that major storm towards the end. But again, it's very far out and it is a long shot. So this will likely look a lot more like what the European model showed, in my opinion. Looking at the temperature pattern, we're going to notice a lot of these sudden warm-ups followed by cooldowns, and that's usually around when these major storms are coming through, bringing the cold fronts. So we see it actually right out the gate here, right here. So we get the warm day like we have today, and here's that cold front coming with those thunderstorms, and we suddenly cool down in the east. We stay cool for a little while through into Saturday, where we warm up in the southeast at least, but the cold pushes back. And then we do get this sudden warm up as we're looking at the 12th, 13th, even the 14th here, 15th, 16th, and then here comes one of those cold fronts, 17th, and then we're warming back up, and there's another cold front coming with a major low again. So it's going to be an up and down type of pattern. The warmer air does last longer than the colder on average, which is why we're expecting overall warmer temperatures. But you can see why I always say that it doesn't mean it's going to be warm every single day, because it's just not. Looking at the Storm Prediction Center, today's outlooks, we have a general thunderstorm risk in all the lighter green areas where we don't expect severe weather. Anything's possible, but we do expect thunderstorms. The darker green areas in there are going to be your level 1 marginal risk, where we start to expect isolated severe weather to occur. The yellow, like we have a lot of for the mid-Atlantic here, is going to be that level 2 slight risk, where we expect scattered about severe weather reports to come in. And then from southern Virginia, mostly southeastern Virginia, eastern North Carolina, and then northeastern South Carolina, we do have a level 3 enhanced risk of severe weather, where it becomes a little bit more widespread. And that's happening. I think the reason why they issued this is because it's just a linear storm mode. Almost nobody in this orange area is really going to miss that line of thunderstorms that likely will have some pretty damaging wind along it at certain points. Even a chance of tornadoes today in some of these areas. So definitely stuff to look out for. This is my first enhanced risk since the summer of 2023, actually. So it's been a long time, in early March. That's crazy, early March. The day 2 outlook, we just have a general thunderstorm risk out there in the west. Really nothing crazy. And then day 3, we don't have anything. And there's nothing in the extended range yet. So this is going to be our kind of like final day of this severe weather event. And then we're going to move on through a few days before we see any other threats. But as we saw in the models, they are coming. So stay tuned. Be sure to subscribe. We upload every single day. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload, so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.